Well, as soon as Joe gets to it, we'll get started.
But a helicopter like that, I hope they look orange. You want to take it for a while? I'd like to try it one time. You know,
I couldn't believe I agreed to go. But
Some of those adventures sound exciting. I can probably just think about it, but not necessarily do them.
it's amazing.
Manning here.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Early August.
Page,
Here.
Val,
Here.
Painter,
Here.
Cummings,
Yes.
Brett.
Here,
Start out. Anyone out there for public comment? Seeing none. I'm down. We have our, is there someone online that has public comment?
no, I think it's just background noise.
So, with the agenda, we have our, minutes for the June 11th meeting, treasurer's report, investment recommendation, and approval of bills. Is there any questions for Debbie or anybody in reference?
Yeah, we did, what would be the chance of getting a description, a little more description? It came up, I overheard about having electric bills where you know if it was parks, if it was sewer instead of the code, either that or put, you know, reference at the bottom, this code is for sewer, this is for parks, or this is for steady, just so we kind of know some of the expenses.
So Debbie, on page 19, where it has the Ameren accounts listed with the addresses, we know that 52 is the sewer. Yes, so we know what that is, but the other ones we're not as familiar with. And so he wanted to know if there would be any way to make a note for when we see this, so then we don't have to ask questions.
And that's really something Ashley's working on, and that's why I can share that with Ashley tomorrow. So, okay.
We
She
can
actually
give
knows
you,
all those.
We can give you copies of the bills too, if that's helpful for you to.
Just go ahead where you can allocate where it's at. If it's for the sewer, and if it's a lift station, so be it. This is a park, you know, so you got an idea, okay, how much of the light bill run at the sports complex compared to coal.
No, well, no, she's got a spreadsheet with all that,
Okay,
so we could, I'll talk, we can talk with her and she can send that spreadsheet out, so you can take a look at it.
And Tammy, in the past, didn't they used to identify those on the sheets that you received?
I was trying to remember, it seemed like we did somewhere along the line that you kind of knew whether it was a park or a lift station or something, because I'm, thinking maybe as simple as just beside the address,
That's what I'm
just,
thinking.
Yeah.
The address
indicate,
just said like what it was.
if it was a lift station, even if you had an initial for lift
Right, you
station.
could just do a
Yeah.
legend, P for park, L for
Yeah.
L.
Yeah,
for lift
something
station.
that simple too might work too, just to, have an idea where each one of those locations are, so.
So we'll talk to them tomorrow.
So, and I just have one other quick question. So, I'm the outstanding checks person.
Yes,
So when do the 2023 ones fall off of this list?
we can really, that's up to actually Tammy and Joe as far as Mr. Fisher's, what we should do with this. And then there's one other one that's pretty old, but we can really avoid that anytime. So
Okay, just,
we were trying to get a hold of him actually, because I think he moved out of the area, so we're trying to get a new address for him so we can send him a new check.
And that check is in reference to a settlement for stormwater access. South of town.
that was my only question.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one thing. I know that they had, when Jim and Todd were here about the community building that they're working on. That they had asked if we didn't call the church the community center. I mean, and plus I agree, and I think that should just be called Village Hall, even if they weren't working on a community center. But so it's in here in the accounts too, that, you paid $4,500 for a feasibility study for the St. Joe Community Center.
That's my bad, because whenever we first started the conversation with Reef Stack, that's what we were calling.
Right, and then I know they had, and then the feasibility study that came, that was just dated June 24th, is also titled the community center. And I just thought if someone from the public saw, oh, wait, we paid $4,500 for a feasibility study, for them to try to do that, it's just confusing. Community building is something separate versus what I feel like that's just Village Hall.
I'll have them correct that in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Page,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Painter,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Brett.
yes,
Motion passed 5-0.
On to new business, we have Jen here to give us thank you, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
thank you, Debbie.
We have our economic development report. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a pleasure to be back here again today. Again, my name is Jim Arndt, Department of Municipal Support. As I mentioned 3 months ago, I'm going to reference my phone a little bit. As I mentioned 3 months ago, things would pick up, and we've seen that escalation. Over the last 3 months, we've had some our put into economic development efforts, a lot of outreach with retailers and restaurants. Joe and I went to the national retail convention, and I believe we had some great success so far. Most of it's paying off. In my past experiences with going up to those retail conferences, usually my goal is bring back one, and then so basically it pays for itself for the years to come. So after this conference, we have really strong interest from multiple retailers / restaurants. We've actually had, I've shared the names, I'm not going to mention here in the meeting, but I've shared the names, you should be aware of the names. We've had one on site here already looking at property. Well, interesting thing, got back into St. Louis, rainstorm like this, tried to get to my car, my phone's ringing, it's an unknown number, it's a person wanting to put the business in St. Joe. So I thought, well, just came, and not from that conference, this came just organically through the website. They saw my contact information, called me and said, hey, we want to put a business in St. Joe. So talked to them, came here also, met them here, took them out to show them sites, so on and so forth. They're looking at a downtown to put a facility in. They wanted me to ask you guys tonight, if you had any interest. I assured them that you did, but that's me speaking because I'm an aggressive retail development person. If you had any interest in a coffee shop in St. Joseph. So that's question number one for you guys. And number two, question they asked was if you guys would be willing to use any programs to support them in opening that coffee shop. And I talked to Joe about that and with what they've been looking for. Seems to align well with your downtown program with Facade. They sent me some pictures today. I shared those with Joe, what that would look like. It looks like it'd be a beautiful coffee shop. They're looking at the old antique place across from the barbecue restaurant, which is right in downtown. I think it'd be a wonderful fit. They're energetic. They actually have it's Kino's Coffee. Are you guys familiar with that? They have a location in Cissna Park, also in Paxton. It'll be their third facility. So they're driven. They have vision. They're energetic. They do lunch, breakfast, as well as, of course, specialty drinks and coffee, so on and so forth. Thing. They went in that one. Kind of thing. So there's an walking distance, and they're mainly concerned about people wanting to stop, go in, and come back out. So, we have interest from them. We also have interest from a retailer that we met out at that conference as well. Came back, called him. He wasn't actually. I'll rephrase this. We had an appointment to meet with them there. It did not show up. Not the first time it stood up in my life, but it is what it is. So I followed up with them and said, hey, you guys didn't show up for our meeting. And they said, well, we don't even handle St. Joseph, Illinois. You need to talk to this person. So I thought, okay, here we go. So I talked to that person and yes, we're interested. He ran through corporate, they're interested. So we could go looking at sites right now. So that's fantastic. And he got back to me immediately. I got his cell phone number. I did follow up with him before coming here tonight, unable to make contact with them to see where they're at with the sites I sent them. I did talk to one of your property owners on 150 about potentially, looking at his property. They prefer to go in already pre-existing buildings, like you'd say. I did talk to two property owners in town that have buildings that are close to what they're looking for, a little bit smaller footprint than what they're looking for ideally though. And he also expressed to me an interest in the future, not speaking with Joe about the future of the local grocery store. And that business owner is going to retire in the next 5 to 10 years, what his plans are. They were looking at potentially, they have partners that they would actually try to backfill that store or partner with that current owner. So I would put them in contact with that owner as well. So they're looking at that store plus another store, which is fantastic. So from this last 3 months, the energy, I think it's good. There's 5 people looking right now, including the Kino's Coffee Shop at St. Joe. So as I told Joe today, it's a win. We're doing good. It's only been 9 months. So we have 9 businesses that are currently looking. 2 that have been here on site that we know of, maybe more. Sometimes they don't tell you when they're in town. We got a tip that we're coming in town. I talked to Joe and said, hey, get out there, see them clean the streets, you know, prep the site, make it look good, because they're coming, you know, that type of thing. So it's been good. Next, we had a positive conversation with Douglas County, also about we talked 3 months ago about the extension of the enterprise zone as the economic development incentive tool. They are still continuing to investigate that. They actually meet with their committee tomorrow to get approval for that. So after tomorrow, we'll know, and then all things look positive. So that looks good. So after tomorrow, we'll know more about that. We might be able to, should you guys want to pursue that, be able to bring in another economic development incentive package to be able to offer, which would be a fantastic, you know, tool in our toolbox, if you will. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So retail reach outs, update. I thought I had it. We followed the investigatory trail with the mowers on the property next to Casey's,
Yeah.
right? And then I talked to the mowing company. I talked to him personally. I said, "This is what I want. This is what I'm trying to do." He wouldn't give me the number. I said, "That's okay. I'm not expecting the number." We reach out to them to let them know I'm looking for, so I can contact, and then nothing. So I'm assuming that means they're not ready yet, you know, that type of thing. So, but it is what it is. Actually, we got close. We're close. But,
I think everybody gets close. That's where.
That's where it is. That's-
Yeah, I think it ends right there.
hotel, for the hotel, I'm also making progress with the investors. So we know they want to be here. That we know they have financing lined up. So check 2 boxes. And then the third thing is the investors. So working on local investors. So if you guys also, because somebody that you know that would be interested in an investment, that's going to, the ROI on that, you guys look at that performance rate 10%. That's a great investment. So if you know of anybody who might want to go in on that, the local ask is right at 2.9 million, so 3 million. But the ROI on that 3 million is fantastic. Just throwing it out there, but we've reached out to 3 that are interested. Just, I don't know where we're at in that process though, because I basically took them, made an introduction call, explained the process, the project to them, and then turned them over to Cobblestone. But if you guys know anybody else, hey, this Jim, you might talk to this person, let me know. Just give me a call, give me the contact, and then I'll see if I can track that down for you. But it's a great investment if the person has the capital to invest in. Any questions for me?
Do any of the other Keno's locations have drive-throughs?
I do not know. I've not been to them. They've sent me pictures.
Existence does not, but it's kind of out there. I guess.
No, they're not asking through.
I know,
Okay.
I know. I just was curious.
So but there would not be the ability to do a drive through there. We have coffee without a drive through.
Right.
Like.
And that's my other question. Is Keno's aware that there is a coffee shop in town already? Are they aware of Gishane Coffee?
Yep. We actually stood and had a conversation, probably talked 30 minutes right outside their store. It's a different product line. It's a different, it's a much different, here. You can look through there, as you can see, look at this.
Different, like how?
It's
Would they be interested in it?
coffee. It's open every
We
day.
could put a drive-through in this
Yes.
place.
Can we get a place with the drive?
Hey, you just tell me when I can market it, we'll market it. I'm ready. I've already had that conversation with Joe.
Oh, at the end. Oh, it's got the.
Yeah, that's nice looking. That's nice looking.
At the back, like I was trying to figure out too. If there.
Well, that's what's going up to you though. If you're not interested in a coffee shop, they're in your community.
I just, I feel
I mean, I
bad
think-
for Gishane's to bring in another coffee shop.
We don't have to, so he brought up a program and it's just a business grant program that you offer to anybody. And there's an application period and it's a competitive grant, so if they apply, there's a scoring mechanism for that, and there's a check with planning and zoning commission.
Yeah, and what they want to do is just improve the facility and the facade facility, which is, as I told Joe, that's a win-win anyway. Because what you want to do is invest in your backbone of your downtown, which you're doing anyway, with a matching grant.
But you don't have to do that, is the whole point, is that you can ultimately, you don't want to, you don't have to.
But you turn that into that, so you'd want to.
Oh, sure. Oh, for sure. It's.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That- I mean, so that'd be,
Right.
you're just investing in the future of St. Joe.
I just don't know, there,
Let me-
parking there is already such a contentious.
Is there any way
Contentious is
to,
the word I'm gonna use.
would there be any way to work anything out with Todd that there, if we took like 6 spots and we rented them or if we bought them? That he could still, I mean, so I think what his worry is if the IGA would ever get really busy, you know, he's gonna lose parking, but I mean, what if we made it so you could use it? He can still use it for his parking, we would just kind of designate it as downtown first.
But I don't know, oh, you mean just for parking, not for a drive?
Just those ones along the alleyway, like if you took the first
Where you
6
park
and
people
just
in the
kind of
aisles.
said. You
I
know,
think you should go and ask him that.
Huh?
I think you should go and ask.
He doesn't like me.
You were thinking about making it public parking?
Yeah,
Renting
or
it
like
for public
renting them, I mean, I think you'd almost have to rent it, cause I think he's the kind of guy that if he got pissed off, then he could just. Say, I'm not renewing my rent or whatever.
Right, at least in front of.
Well, I can ask them and see if that's possible. But he's,
Well, something like that might be the incentive for a business like that, and it also would be beneficial to all of the businesses downtown.
Sure.
And I would also like to kind of reach out if he's. Thinking of doing something in the next 5 or 10 years, if there'd be any way that he could. You know, scratch that out, that the city could buy it before he sells to the next owner.
Mhm.
Or whatever agreement he goes into.
Conversations.
Well said.
Just. That would be ideal for what they're wanting, because you could pull up right there and
Yeah, right,
run
right.
down to this thing and then be on your married one.
There's limited parking right in front too, where people can stop and
There, yeah.
Just to confirm, because I know the concern always is when we start talking programs for new businesses, especially if we're talking about a business that's along the same lines we do have a program where we currently help existing businesses if they apply. That is correct?
and new businesses are eligible to apply as well.
But an existing business,
Exist, yes.
right, like fishing is
Yes.
eligible to apply,
Yes.
so it's not that we don't
Right.
offer anything
Right.
to existing business.
Right.
Absolutely. I just wanted to be very clear that we do not only offer to new businesses. Okay, good point. Thank you for clarifying.
Refresh my memory on the enterprise zone benefits of that. Okay, if we, what do we get with the enterprise zone?
it's a sin that you get to offer to businesses to come here as a tool, tool to incentivize them to actually.
We can offer an incentive then?
Yes, what your incentive is gonna be is actually this through the zone itself. They'll dictate what that incentive is. So basically, I believe theirs is if I remember correctly, theirs is a tax abatement for a graduated period of time, with property taxes.
So you can be discriminatory on something coming in and say we get a tax abatement for a few years or.
That's right.
Now, does that also include like the county and all that? Kind of like a tip, will they be excluded from that? Or is that strictly because the city taxes are only 6%?
Yeah, it's gonna be, the enterprise zone is gonna be, how it's structured with your partners. So that'll take some work. Like when we put the enterprise zone, in Effingham, we had to get buy-off, or I should buy-in, I should say, from all the different taxing bodies.
Mhm.
You explain the value of the enterprise zone. That's when we created it. So when they go to expand it, if they so choose to do so, it'll take some work to talk to your taxing bodies. They don't have to. They can opt out or they can opt in. The more they opt in, the more attractive the zone is. If they
Okay.
opt out, it's not, of course, but you'll go to your townships also. So your county, townships, school districts, anybody, to see if they would opt in or opt out. And then, of course, on top of that, there's a sales tax, not on your sales tax, but it's a sales tax, a rebate for like in the purchase items. And to make improvements, like on this coffee shop, if the zone is in place, whatever they paid in sales tax on those building materials would be, abated also. So that's a big benefit. And then there's also an investment tax credit too for the businesses.
Well, since you brought that up and just say that the building materials, sales tax and all that, we'd be abating sales that was made in Champaign or wherever else. I mean, we'd be reimbursing them for the tax dollars that were spent there. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's the property owner, that pays, the person paying for the product, just like you do when you go to, when you go to Lowe's to buy, you know, a 2x4, you're paying for the board plus the sales tax for that
Mhm.
board. Well, now you buy that 2x4 in an enterprise zone, that's qualified expenditure, you pay for the board and you, the property owner, get that money back.
Okay.
Sales tax rebate. So it's an incentive for the person to do the business. And then now, what incentivizes Douglas County to allow St. Joseph's to come into that is they'll have an administrative fee they'll take from the top of those abatements, they'll get paid.
One mention was also made, you know, like a small hardware store, was it True Value or Ace or one of them? That came up, and we had lunch today, seeing my mom, there's an Ace Hardware in Robinson. Is that the scaled down size, or do you know? I'm trying to get a visual of that, because I didn't even know it was there till today.
As far as the one in Robinson, I don't know what the size that is, but the company that I'm speaking to wants to put ideally at 10,000 to 15,000 square foot.
Okay,
That'd be comparable to the one that's in Paxton.
I don't know that.
You
there's
don't know
size
that
either.
either? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought because you had the coffee place, you knew that as well, so, okay.
However, I can say that I've not been able to find a comparable size here. The highest I can get is like 7,500, 8,500 square foot. So, and I don't know if they'll take that down, so shrink it in
the
size.
next time I'm down there, I'll just, about the requirements on that. Because I would, what they had done, and actually it was a grocery store that had closed. Happens now, in fact, the same doors you went to the grocery store,
Mhm.
you come in, one says Ace Hardware and the other says it's restaurant.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
you know, you go ahead and get a hammer or you clear.
Get a burger, huh?
Yeah, so.
Any other questions, comments?
Does Keno's, or I don't know if they're aware, I mean, I know that, you know, parking in that area is difficult, but like, do they, since you said they do breakfast and lunch, are they like one of those coffee shops that like close at 2 PM typically, do you know? Are they?
I wrote down their hours, but I brought all my thoughts except for that.
Let's look.
Yeah, let's look, because
Look at the one in Paxton.
Because in that area, there would be no other cars in the morning,
I want to say it's 3 to 4 when they close, but not open for dinner.
right? I mean, because with, you know, the only, there's the insurance company and the pizza place, I mean. Now at lunchtime, you know, the rib cage might, but I don't know how busy they are like during weekend lunch.
I don't think it's gonna be, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it's gonna
it'd
be
be an
any kind
issue.
of competition.
Not for the morning, you know, when would be the
Well-
busiest. There shouldn't be a problem with people, there being parking for people to hop on, get their coffee and get out and go.
It's at 6 to 4 in Paxton. So 6 AM to 4 PM. Except for Saturday is 7 to 2 and Sunday they're closed.
Close on Sunday. Yeah.
Who was the retailer? You said you spoke with and was interested.
I don't want to mention it in public meeting, but you guys have it in your reports. He knows I talked about because they're the ones that want to be asking you guys for questions for you.
And I guess what I'm hearing is that there's a grant program which is open to anybody that they can apply for. Whatever.
And then what I'm hearing also is there's going to be some exploratory conversations about parking.
Correct. And we'll look at the market.
All along, guys, I think we're making a lot of good progress.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice to see you guys too. So,
Appreciate it.
back again in a few months and hopefully we'll have some commitments. Yeah. That building lease is up in September, so that's kind of what their time frame is on that, so. And then the other one, they're trying to get an offer in, so hopefully that'll be done before I come next month.
Okay.
Any questions or any thoughts come to mind as far as investors, let me know.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, move on down to our public hearing, do we have to set up anything special to open up for public hearing for the appropriation ordinance? Or
You just did.
that's,
Okay.
okay, so then what do we close out if anybody?
Are there any comments or questions during our public hearing? I think you can declare the public hearing closed.
Closing the public hearing then? That was pretty simple. So, is there any questions or anything from the board? Joe, give us the updated ordinance right here, correct? So,
Like I mentioned, this is artificially large just because you are serving as a pass through for SRF funds for your ongoing capital projects. So the sewer plant here is ongoing, and then the Elm Street reconstruction and interceptor project will be starting soon. In both of those, we received money from IEPA, and we pay the contractor. So they have to funnel that through us. Both of those are large projects, which makes it look like our spend authority. The spend authority is much higher than in reality it really is. But if you don't have any questions, we just need a motion to approve. I'm happy to answer.
I'll make a motion. Does anybody have any questions?
I think the one question the public would ask, how much is it gonna affect their pocketbook? You know, and with that, I don't know if there is a true answer to that, all the pass through thing, everything else is pretty well the same.
You've already done it with the sewer rate adjustments.
Okay. I think that's all a question that I think any would have. When you look at that, you think, oh, cow. But, I think
It'd be nice if IEPA would pay the contractor directly. It would be very nice if that was the case, but they don't. Unfortunately.
that's fine.
Do they pay? Or are they paying?
They pay
And then
so there's about a 3 to 4 week
Yeah.
gap from when the contractor submits a request for payment from when IEPA sends us the payment, and then we process it. We're the quickest step in the whole process. So IEPA takes a little bit of time to get it to us. Now, in fairness, they have to review the submission and there's certain things that they identify as non-qualifying for the loan. Which that's why it probably takes a little bit of time. They're processing them throughout the state as well, but it is kind of an involved process.
Any other questions? Yeah, pretty much everything else is pretty much standard and what our other appropriations have been in the past. I said other than the couple of big projects that we've got going on, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual appropriation funds.
Valley,
Yes.
Painter,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes,
Page.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Now we're going to old business. First thing on the old business is consideration and the bid for the solar services at the wastewater treatment plant. You have all that in your packet information. Part of it was given at the last meeting. And then it's like Joe had an additional little piece here.
I think, we should table it one more month, or one more thing, only because I feel like 6 people need to vote on it. It's too big to not have everybody here. I mean, if we don't have everybody here next time, I think we have to vote on it, but that's just my opinion.
And I just want to say that I am not comfortable for us to purchase these we talked before about the PPA. I think that's the more conservative way to do that. I understand that there's a possibility that we will not make as much money on that. But to me, that's not as important as putting ourselves at risk, especially if you look at the other projects that have different phases that we've already sort of committed to that are coming down the road as far as us going into debt with those as well. So I just want to go on record for saying that.
And I want to go on record as saying I cannot do a PPA that locks us into 30 years into something when none of us will be here. And the board down the road, if the thing goes sour, is locked in to something when we could buy it and it's paid off in 3 to 5 years. And if things go bad, at least it paid for itself and you could walk away. I don't think that would be the case, but I'm just saying I'd rather have something paid for and go bad than lock a board that we don't even know who they're gonna be into something that we made the mistake on.
And I think that we also have risk at if we purchase, because we don't know how those are going to be able to be disposed of and what burden that's going to be on that next board as well. So that also has a risk involved with it.
Well, I'd like to comment. I think we ought to buy the one down at the sewer plant. I got mixed emotions about the capital expenditure, the one that at the sports complex at the farm ground. I think the return on the one there at the sewer plant, I think it'd be beneficial all the way down the line. If we had the finances, I think both would be. But that being said, the reason I'm leaning that way on that is to get the, I guess you could say lease, you have the capital up front. It's also in a venue where you gotta have bike trails, you got kids. I can see those more susceptible to damage. And so that's my only concern there. If we got the finances, I'd like to see it do both. I think we'll come out, but given that, if I only could buy one, I'd definitely buy the one at the sewer plant. I think that'd be.
And I would say, to piggyback off that, I'm all for the one at the sewer plant. This one, I think, came up out of nowhere. I had no intention of buying one. I probably would not, as much as I would love to. Again, I think 6 years and then the board after that loves us because the money that would bring in, but I can't see going into that much debt over.
That's my only concern.
Something that I don't know what's gonna become of it. I mean, there has to be money in it. Everybody's wanting to do it, but I think that's a totally different ballgame on money than out of the sewer plant. I think the sewer plant is like a big house to me, and it's just basically gonna pay for itself. And hopefully sooner than later, but within 5 years, I think it's paid for, and you didn't have an electric bill that helps pay for that as you go along. But I think all the incentive money that you're gonna get is just gonna be, it's gonna wipe out most of that debt.
I mean, in my opinion, it's worth the risk to go ahead and do the one at the sewer plant.
Yes.
So.
I'm less worrisome about the one at the sewer plant. But I was going to let you know, I mean, this is just the overall debt service that we have, and Joe, put it all out there to you, kind of showing the different scenarios that we have and the cost of the low interest loans that we currently are attached to. We have the sewer loan, that is based off of our sewer fees, and then also the one that we just authorized for the $6,500 for the next part of that project to do Monroe Street. We got the letter from the EPA where they do review our sewer rates and our ordinance over the sewer rates to be sure that we do have a revenue source to pay back those low interest loans. And currently, what they've stated in their letter after reviewing our sewer rate and revenue system for the finance for this loan, they've looked it over, and it demonstrates that we currently, with our schedule that we have passed by ordinance, which we did back in 2017 before we went down this road for the upgrade, or for the expansion. And we are in good shape currently, but that is something that they will continue to look at. We have to send them a copy of our ordinance and everything, prior to, the first disbursement of the loan for this last one that we did back in February for $6,500. And that's for the next phase that we're working on, correct, Joe? That we've already started kind of working on over there going to the north. That will do that expansion of the expansion, but anyway, it's something that, you know, with our debt service, you know, we do want to be careful because they will be with this watching it over our time too. So we want to be careful that we don't push the limits. Otherwise, they could come in and tell us we need to increase our sewer rates to make sure that we can demonstrate that we do have revenue, sufficient revenue to pay off the low interest loans. But I thought it was interesting. I just happened to get the letter as we were working on our appropriations.
Would they take that in consideration, that you have, or you might have an expenditure, but you also have the ability in 3 to 5 years where you're going to reduce your cost, which would go ahead and that would come into play, or it wouldn't affect the sewer. Just like when you talk about sewer rates, that's the one thing. This has an opportunity to have the funding in another in 3, 4, let's say 5 years at tops, that it's paying it and reducing the costs.
And I think whatever loan we take out, half of it's gonna be paid back within the first year.
I think it'll get paid back for
Yeah.
so.
The other question with the Ameren, do you know with the Ameren credits that they get, is that something that's guaranteed over? I mean, is that something that we have to worry about at some point going away if administrations change or?
So I've been told no, but, so just so you're aware, if you go the route I'm talking about and Art's talking about, or you go your PPA, if Ameren does away with their stuff, either way, so then now you're paying Ameren and you're paying this, they said their agreement never goes away. They said Ameren is going to fulfill their thing, so we never have to worry about that. You're gonna have something come up to void this contract, is what they said. So they're out there selling that and they're quite confident it's not gonna go away.
That's why I was just curious if there was any talk about what could happen later down the road if all of a sudden solar becomes less subsidized, you know, by the government. You know, would Ameren still be in the game to keep wanting to offer their credits and things? Do you have the answer?
Well, I can address that.
Yes.
The current administration at the national level has approved the solar through 29. Whether the administration's changed or not, that's good. Now, obviously, budgets can be changed from one thing to another. Now, are you referring to the SREX, which is the Illinois Shines money, that 30%?
No,
No.
I think she's referring to the one for, I mean, basically, we would be on the 1-for-1 credit from Ameren.
Right.
That's
That's the billing that's
Right.
going away at the end of the year. Okay, so net metering, Reader's Digest version, you generate 10 units, you only use 5 go into your bank. Okay, when net metering goes away for next year, now there again, that could change, but every indication Ameren's making it go away. When you lose net metering, you generate 10 and you only use 5, those 5 are bought at like 4 cents a unit. Then when you need them later on, they sell them back to you for 16 or 17 cents a unit. That's where net metering is a game changer because you have a year to bank extra. That's why the proposal we put together was at 110%. You've got extra, and then they have to buy that extra back from you. Now that's then the 30% incentive, which is now 40% because of where we fall in to one of those shaded green areas that the Department of Energy just put out earlier in June. Okay, that there's certain areas because you got a coal mine in your area. Well, we touch Vermilion County, so therefore we qualify to come over into part of Champaign County. If your unemployment rate's above the state average, and you can, there's areas, I just met with Iroquois County's board this morning, and they're in a 20% area because they qualify for both of them, so their incentive, they're looking at 50%. The one key thing that we've been telling individuals with larger array of panels that they're looking at is to do something in 24 because you are grandfathered in. So if you do 50% in 24, you can do the other 50% in 25 or 26, still be grandfathered in with the net metering. Okay, they can't take that away from you. So that way, whatever you're generating extra, you're gonna have in your bank. If it goes into next year and you lose the net metering, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Does that answer your question there?
I mean, it probably is, but it's.
Well, it's still worth it, but it's not as good because it's real-time energy being produced. It's not gonna be as good for the homeowner that's gone during the day and the panels are creating all this energy that they're selling back for 4 cents. And then at night when they come home and they fire up the hot tub or whatever the case may be, and now all of a sudden they're buying it back at 16, it's not as beneficial. We're seeing time frames go from 4-year payback to 7 to 8 years payback. I think the proposal, I know the proposal we gave you showed the panels being paid off in 3 years. That's factoring in all the incentives and everything else. But is there anything between now and 2 weeks from now you want me to investigate for you? Because I'd be more than happy to, or you've all got my email, shoot me an email and just say, Butch, will you please look at X, Y, or Z?
I was gonna ask, did yours also include the fencing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Um,
I did bring a sheet tonight, and I know this is in public comment right now, but I brought a sheet comparing the two side by side, so you're not digging through all of the, put that in there.
Yeah, if you want to just hand one of those. to
Maybe
everybody.
two, sir. Oops,
I do have that phone for something.
did you get two of them? Yeah. So look at this at your leisure, and like I said, questions, shoot me an email. And I'll have the team investigate it and answer it the best of our ability. Okay?
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm willing to roll that I think Matt's for it. But I was gonna say, if we wanna make a motion tonight to do the sewer plant, I'm for that. Out there, somebody would have to, I don't think the village is in any way, shape, or form to do that. So.
My thoughts out at the park is, I don't want us to rush into tie up the park grounds for 40 years, because we look at the dollars signs. I guess I would like to take more time to look at other ways to finance our parks. I know Joe and I had a meeting in reference to the community building that, yes, they're only going to take about 4 to 5 acres of that, but I guess I'm hoping if things move along in this community, like I hope to see it, I would like to have that ground available to expand our parks. You know, I mean, we've still talked about splash pads and different things, and yes, we have quite a bit of ground to expand north. But that will fill up quickly with various different things. If you throw in another baseball diamond, or you know, all these various things that, you know, that you could potentially want for a future park. So, you know, I don't like the idea of filling all that with solar panels for 30, 40 years. Plus, if you have your community park out there, or your community building, is that something that's gonna be attractive, being surrounded by solar panels when someone's out getting their wedding photos or whatever you might have at a community building going on? But, and then as far as the other proposal takes up less space, then you know, you have the finance debt. Now, is this something maybe later down the road? Yes, I know some of the incentives are all gonna go away.
I just want to throw in real quick, net metering does not apply to what you're putting out there. Because that's classified as a farm.
Right, and you're only planning on 4 acres out there
Yes, sir.
Right,
with what he's doing and producing.
Twice as much as what
right.
they're talking about producing.
So, I mean, to me,
To me, taking up 4 acres versus all of 20 plus acres, it makes more sense, but I also think too, if solar continues to do like it says, there's nothing to say that you can't go back and do that in 2 or 3 years, once we get some of these other big projects kind of figured out within our budget, and you maybe have a better way of financing that without going into additional debt at this time. The timing to me is just critical, because we've got so many big projects going on right now that I just don't like putting us in a tight budget squeeze. With the park. Yes, we still need to look at ways to finance park things, and I think we can get creative with that. I know I was excited talking with the 2 gentlemen today, Jim and Todd, with reference, because they've got some great ideas going in, having a foundation and different things. So I think there's some exciting things, maybe coming our way to maybe let our parks and things maybe be able to do what we always hope for them to do. So, but anyway, that's just kind of my thinking on both of them. Like I said, I'm not opposed to tabling it, if you want to wait for Matt to get back, either way, but, I hope everybody's had plenty of opportunities to look at the finances, look at the sheets that Joe give you as far as, what our future looks like going ahead. I mean, and that is the other thing, because I was just thinking about that the other day, the decisions that we do make here, future elected officials and board members are going to be the ones that have to live with those decisions. And so it is really important that you guys look hard at what you're doing. I'll give you an example with the park bond. When the community park was built, I was brand new getting on the board. So most of those decisions were made before, I even got on the board. So I've been on the board since 2004 now, which, it's a long time now. If we start thinking about that, it's 20 years, but so, those decisions were made before then. And so here I still am, and you guys are living with those decisions that was made before my time. And, honestly, back then they thought the telecommunication tax was going to be able to pay that bond payment throughout the whole, life of that bond payment. And it's been 8+ years now that it has not, because things changed with the government and how that telecommunication tax all worked. And so, here we are with that bond payment that, thank goodness, it'll be coming to a close at the end of this year. Which once again is kind of scary on how long I've been on this board, but anyway, it, still though, for 8+ years, we've had to subsidize it another way than what originally was thought that was going to finance it. So, to me, that was to me kind of an eye-opening thing. It's like, yeah, everything that we decide here, as far as financing and commitments that we make, those people later down the road are the ones that, are they going to be really happy with us? Or are they going to be, what did these people do to us, So I just, I'm throwing that out there just to make sure you guys consider everything when you're moving forward. And I know you guys do, because you guys are a great board. So, and
I do have a question for Butch.
Yes, sir.
Is there any kind of preclusion for us? Let's just say, and you got in a situation where you don't have the net metering, where we could go ahead and say we got an electric supplier and we're buying it at 8, whatever it is, 8.5 or 9 cents a kilowatt hour. Could that be used in conjunction with that, to where you're not obligated to 16, 17 cents? If we had a wholesaler like that.
I can't answer that. I don't know if in fact you're buying in with a group at a lower rate. I'd have to investigate that and find out.
I just wanted to ask
But
that.
if we got started on it, we're in for the net meter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm saying, even if it's only 50% the first year.
but if we go all in, then we're all in on the net meter.
And we get to keep the net metering.
And you get to keep that metering. So like I said, if we were given some additional guidelines, because at first it was kind of vague, Ameren was using vague terms, but we finally got in writing that you have to put at least 50% the first year during that metering to qualify to continue to be grandfathered. So you couldn't do 25, 25, 25, 25. you'd only get credit for the first 50%. You can only do it in 2 phases to be grandfathered in,
Okay,
okay?
well, I mean, I've got no problem waiting for Matt, but I'll tell you right now, that's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna buy the one there. And if we wanna lease that now here at the,
Does 2 weeks make a difference with you guys? I
No,
mean, if we hold off till
No.
Matt's here and,
Is
I'm-
everybody planning on being here? The next
Yeah,
time,
that's-
I guess is the next question.
I will.
Or what about, can we straw poll and
I'm
see
saying, I
that,
know
it-
where Matt
what if whether Matt, what if his decision?
well, I know I'm
Is it
gonna
gonna
vote
change?
for
I'm
it.
saying, I know what Matt's vote is.
Yeah, he's for it, correct? Yeah,
I know on both of them.
Yeah.
This morning, once he was gonna be gone.
well, I'm for it at the Super Bowl.
I'm for the sewer plant, I can tell you that.
That's
For purchasing.
for purchasing.
Well, it's up to you
You
guys,
wanna-
you guys make the decisions.
You wanna make a motion?
I'll back you up, you go ahead and make the most.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the solar out of the
The sewer plant
Sewer plant.
director,
from Rector.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, Painter,
Yes.
Cummings,
No,
Brett,
Yes,
Page,
Yes.
Valley,
yes.
4-1, motion passed.
Do we need to do anything, just to table it?
For the parking.
Yeah, for the park. What's his?
You have-
on that?
you
He's
have-
up for it.
We don't. We're talking about,
Either one.
I can't even see any solar going out there right now, just because the community building taking up so much space. I'd love to see it, like she said, splash pad. I'm all for more park development. And that was his kind of thought too. He said he's not coming for the direct kind of thing.
I'd be for it out there, but I think it ought to be one of those plans. Where I can appreciate having a community building out there, I appreciate another ball field. But I think you ought to take those areas that are more or less level, the ones on the hillside where you go ahead and put it on, isn't gonna affect that, you're not gonna build a ball field on a hill, you're not gonna build anything else. Use it on the side of the hill, but I don't know how much that diminishes the acreage out there.
I would say, but if we're gonna have to tie up that amount of funds to get the smaller size, correct?
Well, I wouldn't
And
talk
I
about,
would have to know where that, I would need to know more about that. I'm sorry, I didn't read up on it, but it seems to me that we'd have to do something where we're selling it then to the community to recoup our money. And I mean, you're gonna get a ton of incentives, I think,
Uh-huh.
that'll help pay for that, pay for a big chunk of that. But what are you gonna do after you have it out there? You've gotta sell it somewhere so you're making money and the village is making money moving forward, but it's also helping the village.
I mean,
My thought.
that's one big purchase.
Yeah.
On top of other
Yeah.
purchases.
And future board is gonna say, why did they fill up all that park space with solar panels?
Then but they'll have to say it from all their stacks of money.
Right.
Move it like Mr. McDuck or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
The folks from the leasing. Proposal is also on Zoom if you have any questions for them as well. Or if you would like to table the sports complex discussion.
I think we can table that.
I think you knock half of it in the head, and this way you can go ahead and focus on the other.
And maybe you put it off for a year and you see how everything goes and. I mean, the incentives stick around, right? Ameren's the only one kind of doing something a little bit different after,
Right, the net metering is going away, but the 40% incentive
right?
is the first year that you install the program. The SREX, I don't know how much I explained that last time, but real quickly, they monitor, the state of Illinois, Illinois Shines monitors the production of what's out of the plant for the first year. Then when the first year's over, quarterly, they send you a check based on what that system is projected to generate. Okay, so you get 4 years worth of checks, and it's like the number that's in the packet is 85% of the overall, not 85, I'm sorry, 30% of the overall production. And so then you divide that out over a 5-year period, So you get 20 payments over 5 years, quarterly payments that come back in, okay? And doing math this late at night would be scary, but
So you want a really sunny first year.
hey, that first year, yeah, you want very little cloud cover. But you're talking about the SREX money of being 366,000. Divide that out by 20 payments. Quick math in my head, is that about 23,000 a quarter?
That's not what you're talking about here.
Well, yeah, I was
Or you're
talking,
talking in general.
no, I was, when I was first talking, I was talking out. here.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, out there being a farm,
Yeah.
that 4 cents that I'm talking about when you create excess, when net
Right,
metering goes
yeah.
away, that is gonna be completely different. You're negotiating with Ameren what you sell that back.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not even gonna throw a number out because we've seen a couple instances where it's a double-digit number, okay? So it's all according to the demand that Ameren has at that particular time. As St. Joe grows, as Ogden grows, and there's more of a demand for that power, they're more interested in buying it. And it doesn't necessarily mean staying here. I mean, they're paying you for it, so you know where it's going. They're building like a 500-acre solar farm in Springfield right now, and the article I read said it's all going north by 80.
Where's all, do you happen to know where the electricity going for the one down at Kansas Illinois?
I do not know
Man,
that.
that's huge right
Yeah.
down there.
Well, if you've been to Danville lately, the one over by Oakwood is 40 acres of panels going in, and I've not heard where that's going either. And I know DAC is exploring right now panels for one of the parking complexes that are gonna have an awning over the top of them with panels in the top of the awning. So you've still got your parking, but you've also got an area that's generating
And
revenue.
they're also doing the PPA. I love that.
All right, do we need a motion to table the second one then?
I'll make a motion to table the solar panels at the sports complex. I'll second.
Cummings,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes,
Page,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Painter,
Yes.
motion passed, 5-0.
Okay, Joe, do you have anything to add?
I put out a request for you to share your thoughts on the church model, and if you get that to me by the end of the week, I'd really appreciate it. And then also the IML conference is September 19th to 21st. If you would like to attend, you could let me know sometime here.
we're planning on going,
I'm planning on going.
John and I.
And the Mexican Heritage is on the 16th, so we will miss that.
Darn it. That's such.
I just want to let you know I researched it, so.
For everybody else, if you'd like to go to stuff. Other than that, that's all I have.
Mark?
Nothing to report. Thank you for passing the appropriation. We're good.
I will say, Mike wants to report that, I asked him and he did file our statement of economic interest. So I asked him to check that to make sure we did that. So
They were filed.
they were filed.
You're all good.
I don't know if anybody else was worried about it.
I mean, because I gave it to her, they, she.
And then shortly after that, we got a call from the clerk's office asking about, it, didn't we? It was like following week. It was like, they called and like we didn't have something. So, yeah, we need to follow up on that. So, is Mike on? Mike, do you have anything to add tonight?
Nope.
All right,
Oh, hey, Mike, did you get the mower back from John Deere?
They're still working on it. Mechanic's been gone for a little over a week on vacation, so he's coming back and getting it finished up, what I'm hearing.
Okay,
Do we have an update to that list that we talked about?
we had it last month.
Yeah.
Last meeting.
Or, yeah, last meeting.
It'll be,
So next.
yeah, we'll get another one next Friday, so. So
Mike, this is Angela, Page. I just wanted to say that until I went out to the sewer plant, I had no idea how much daily work that our public works guys do out there every day. I really did not realize how encompassing it was. I mean, it was, yeah, literally. But anyway, that's all. I didn't realize that our public works guys did that much out there. So I
That's
appreciate
kind of
that.
new.
Right, they were taking it right there because they were all learning, you know, but still, it was a lot and
It was very interesting.
it was interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, so you need to get out and get your.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you want to learn all that, so it is very interesting, I thought it was, even though I've had it, but it's interesting to tie in the new stuff. And it was better having a good visual, seeing it, you know, as you're out there too, so it was nice. So,
I did not, but I was like, oh boy.
Ain't quite right on.
So, I mentioned, actually, I'll probably just have Joe, we'll put a copy of this letter from the EPA on the reference to the loan, just so you guys can have it, reading it too, just of interest. I met with a lady there last week, I think it was. Anyway, I'm gonna hang a couple of these posters here, but I met with her in reference, they would need some potential overnight parking, so I'm working with the group, it's the Forest Preserve, they're doing an event called Pedal the Preserves on Saturday, August the 17th. And they have different routes that they take. It goes through, they have the different route options, anywhere from 65 miles, which would include camping up at the Middle Fork, all the way to up to 12 miles on the Kickapoo Rail Trail. So there's a potential of a lot of visitors coming out on the trail during that, but she was asking about potential overnight parking because they're starting it here at St. Joe. And they're gonna have the registration thing probably at Cove Park. Anyway, so I'm working with her to make sure we have, they're hoping to be able to use Meyer Field for some of their parking, overnight parking, if Meyer Fields doesn't have a ball game or something that comes up. So we were just looking at other alternative parking areas that cars could park through the night, come back and get their cars the following day.
How would we want to do the school?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
Well, but by the way,
Well, that's why we put down like I showed her several areas and the Methodist Church was one, you know, Cove Park has a little bit of parking.
Well,
you
there
know,
are
even
parking,
our
parking lot by the wine distribution place.
Right, because there is parking
That's
here.
right by the trail. I think you should certainly offer
People
that.
park in front of my house somewhat regularly.
To
Get
go
their
on the
car
trail.
out or get their bike out and get on the trail, so.
It's interesting there
Mm,
too.
Yeah, I would never have thought.
Well, and they also have the parking behind Casey's
Right.
that is there. So she acted like she was good with all the various different locations. So we're still kind of putting that together. But I thought it was just, once again, one of those things that by us being a trail town, it gives us those opportunities, bringing people into the community. I'm working with her. I'm going to send her that same list that I had gave the other group as far as all of our businesses in town that offer food and different things. And she also was very excited to know, because she was asking, well, do you have places where people to spend the night too? And I was like, well, there, you know, this is a small place currently now that has some suites, but I said, yes, if, you know, someday if we're able to get the hotel, but she was really excited about it because they're hoping that this will grow, especially as the trail opens up further, that there'll be more of those sort of events. And not all of them camp, some of them do like to have a place, just like the group from Decatur, they stayed in Champaign. But if they had the option maybe to stay in someplace other than Champaign, they would really be excited about that. So since we are right on the trail. So anyway, so that was an interesting meeting to have with them. So it's just one more exciting thing to bring to the community. So
Is the chamber doing anything for that to promote the local businesses?
I have not heard, I talked with Nora.
Hey, Nora, what's the chamber doing for this event?
Right now, the chamber is focused on low Prince.
Yeah, so they did make you aware of that. Cause yeah, that's the other thing, we need to coordinate more with the chamber, because like I said, these biking groups, do get a hold of me, and I do have that list, but it would be neat if the chamber, maybe put something in, if we get that way, finding information up and about too, that will always be helpful too, to get to our businesses, so. Anyway, so that was just something I had worked on a little bit last week, so, trustees, do you have anything to add?
I have a quick question about, I forgot to ask Joe earlier, the sewer bills, the old sewer bills. Has there been any progress on those?
So we still need to get into the program that's stated.
What, or even the older ones, the ones that weren't gonna qualify for the state program?
No, we haven't gotten to that yet.
I will say, I was reached out, I don't know where any of you guys have reached out by the garbage guy. And, the only thing I thought of was, not on his part, because it wasn't Republic that reached out. But I do remember that Republic saying that they would be willing to do it with people who were interested and not necessarily everybody. So the one guy acted like the community showed interest on Facebook. I thought
That's the way
everybody
you worded
hated it.
Yeah, I worded it.
But I didn't know if
interpret
it
that
would
that
be
was what the community
something
wanted.
that,
I don't know.
um,
If there's an opt-out, sure.
that's what I was thinking, is if you could still end up with if you could tell somebody they were gonna save money and you could get 90% of the people, and the other people are able to opt out because they don't wanna be told what to do, which I kinda get.
You wanna pay more,
Right, exactly. Is it something to look into, or is it just, I told one guy I thought it was dead in the water, but I said,
Well, we kind of had talked about that at the last meeting, because I had, because I missed that email, I got it late in the day and I didn't get a chance to read it, but, and I don't think it was the guy that had previously sent me an email asking where we were at with that.
GFL.
Yeah, and because I had sent the other gentleman who had asked, I told him, I said, we kind of did a straw vote, and right now we're just not interested in going that route. We didn't feel there was enough interest in the community, and right now I didn't feel like the village was set up and equipped to taking on that responsibility of what it would take for us to be responsible for, the billing and
Billing and all that,
calls and
I agree.
and various different things. I just didn't feel like it was enough of it. Right now, it didn't look like it was enough of a savings that would be worthwhile us.
And I just think there's a lot more to that, and I just don't know how much more we can put on them. I mean, we're asking them to do other things, and they need to get those done, and they need to get them done right. So that's my thought about that.
The only thing and Art probably, but, we've got ABC that comes flying in, not flying in, I'm not gonna knock them, but they come in at 9 or
10 p.m.
Yeah, 10 o'clock today. So, I mean, the guy really made a pretty good point, and I'm assuming we wouldn't get rid of it, but, the point being that you've got a lot of trucks that are the same, driving around the same time, just, it seems kind of, they make good points, and if you.
I don't
can
see
save
why
money-
anybody would really be against it a whole lot. I mean, I can understand it's chain. But if you could, it's trash. If you could save some money, it's not like. And there again, if there's a little bit, as long as they can handle complaints and all that, I think I outlined some of that, if they didn't pick up.
Right, and
Ruth
these
is
guys seemed like
garbage.
they were Johnny on the spot if there was any
Yeah.
issue, and that was.
I just,
never would have dreamt people cared as much about trash as people seem to care. about
Well,
trash.
they don't care, it's not the trash.
It's
I don't think it has
people what to
anything to do with
Right,
the trash, it
yeah.
has everything to do with you forcing me to use
Yeah.
it.
Well,
And I'm not talking about.
Yeah, no,
personally,
But even when
Forcing
Apple
somebody to
quit,
use a company
Nobody
they
would
don't
be
want to.
forced, but like when
Right.
Apple stepped back, like that's when I started learning, like, people care a lot more about their trash service provider than I do. I do not care as long as it goes away.
Right, yeah.
And wait, overcharge me, I really don't.
But some people like to have the smaller,
do
the
for
small,
Apple
support the
something
smaller
here, so.
businesses,
Yeah.
or the larger ones.
I think we all agreed Apple was great.
Oh my God, they picked it, you know, you could set a million bags right next to it, nobody ever said anything, but now
Put it in there.
if you
So
can't
you-
fit it in the tub. Huh?
You have used your.
Yes, I did, and look,
I
and they
have to
finally
admit,
said.
Max, let it go.
we were spoiled by apples for sure for many years.
That's where
And
turn Max
I
back
think
to
that's
come
probably maybe the hardest part for a lot of people is because apples did spoil us so much. That it changes hard and when, you know, you're forced to make the change, people get a little riled up about it, so.
That's what I thought with at least with the Republic, he said that he would basically take a list and wouldn't make us do everybody. The other companies seemed like you had to do all or nothing.
Right.
They were gonna base it off whatever, but Republic said it. You
I
know,
looked at it this way, if there was a savings there, and if we were handling the billing in conjunction with the sewer bill like that, then that's a way to reduce the postage on that we're sending out, if they picked up half the bill. You know, half they go to that, and I thought, well, that might, there again, that's a cost savings to the sewer. Which if you don't know, by the way, postage is going up on the 14th, another day. So
That's why we get more people paying
Yeah,
online.
most people pay online anyway. Do you still mail yours in?
I said, pay it in advance, just leave it. When it gets down to zero, then it come in.
Try to pay everything online as much as they can. So, all right, anything else right now?
Oh, there is one thing, thanks Joe for putting down some of the hours, estimated hours on the mowing.
Mike got those for you.
Like that, well, Mike, he did a good job. I think that's something that, you know, it can be useful in evaluating what kind of equipment you need to do for different tasks, or if it might be viable to go ahead and subcontract something, so. It's fuel
And
for
I
thought.
think those numbers would help too, because I think most of those people needed an idea what hours would take to do those.
But then also, the hours are great, but that doesn't help me is knowing what it costs us. So if you could, I don't know who does the mowing or how you figure that out,
I
you know,
can
based
break
on their payroll, but just in general. To mow the sports complex costs the village X number of dollars per mow.
I can do
So
for
that way we can compare, because I have had somebody follow up with me, what's going on with mowing? Somebody who did submit a bid asked me what's going on with that.
Well, there again, take for example, like the sports complex, when you got one of the mowers got a 6-foot deck. It might be worthwhile to look at that, okay, if we're getting equipment, should you upgrade to maybe a smaller tractor with a bat wing mower? Now you go ahead and you got 18 foot, so you're essentially,
Right.
you're making 3 passes in one, and you could use that maybe at this, how much time would that save you there? Cost per hour is a better utilization of staff time.
Anything else? Not? Someone makes any question?
Motion.
Second.
pretty much.
No.